Hello everyone, and welcome back to A Pint of Astrobiology, the show where I discuss the latest conundrums in the field of astrobiology over a pint of beer. My name is Ben Pierce. I am an astrobiologist, an amateur brewer of beer, and your humble host. And today I am drinking a dry-hopped lager from Black Flag Brewing Co. People don't generally dry hop lagers. This is more something you do for an IPA, but let's see how it tastes. It kind of smells like a sour. But it's got a good lager flavor, very crisp, clean, and refreshing. So not bad, but I'm not sure about the decision to dry hop. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about a concept known as planetary protection. Planetary protection is the notion that we need to do our best not to contaminate potentially inhabited worlds with Earth microbes or contaminate Earth with alien microbes. We gotta keep them separated. Now, there are logical, ethical, and safety reasons for us to consider contamination when exploring potentially inhabited worlds in our solar system. The top four of which are Mars, Jupiter's moon Europa, and Saturn's moons Enceladus and Titan. Now, from a logical standpoint, if we contaminate one of these worlds with microbes, it may make it impossible for us to determine whether life actually ever existed on one of those worlds. Because if we do find life on one of these worlds someday, we need to be able to prove to a reasonable degree that we didn't bring it there. From an ethical standpoint, we don't know if Earth microbes would be considered an invasive species to Martian, European, Enceladian, or Titanian habitats, and we wouldn't want to wipe out these life forms. Consider the infamous cane toad, for example. In 1935, 102 cane toads were introduced to Australia to combat the greyback cane beetle. What was the oversight at the time is that because the skin gland secretions from the cane toad are toxic, they have no natural predators. It is estimated that there are now 1.5 billion of these mother buggers, and they're going to continue to keep growing unless they get tired of mating. Now consider bacteria, which are among the fastest reproducing organisms in the world, dividing every 4 to 20 minutes. And let's consider Mars, a planet that we could actually visit in the foreseeable future. If we introduce Earth microbes to Mars and they outcompete Martian microbes, then bye-bye Martian microbes. And there are 100 trillion bacteria in every human's microbiome. So human astronauts potentially pose the biggest threat to Martian life. Now, I mentioned that this concept was controversial in the previous episode, and here's why. If an astronaut finds a location that could or does have liquid water on Mars, they would be required to turn around and get far away from that site. So for example, if a human astronaut's drilling into the surface of Mars and they see liquid water at the bottom of the borehole, they'd be required to pick up their drill and hightail it out of there. This is because human missions to Mars are required to fully follow the planetary protection requirements specified by COSPAR, the Committee on Space Research, which prevents humans from landing or entering any regions which would be considered special regions or become special regions upon modifications to the environment, such as the borehole example I gave you earlier. Current special regions on Mars include the 200 or so potential seasonal water flows on the surface, the gullies near the equator, the few identified caves, and the potential subsurface lakes near the South Pole. So as you can imagine, the requirements specified by COSPAR don't sit right with everyone. It kind of feels like tying our hands behind our backs and blindfolding us in our search for life beyond Earth. I think a lot of us imagined a scientist on Mars taking water samples and looking for something moving under a microscope. But these requirements are logical and ethical, and we can always return to these sites with a sterilized rover, which is equipped to take samples of the Martian environment without much risk of introducing Earth microbes to that environment. So as frustrating as it may be, It makes sense to take a cautionary approach, as we still don't know if there is any life on Mars and whether we would pose a threat to it or whether it would pose a threat to us. That's all for today. Cheers. Dang, I still missed a sip.